good morning, everybody. It is time. Oops, sorry. Yep. Go to the last one, the very last one. There we go. All right, a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're all right. It is time for Beyond the Game. Beyond the Game brought to you by By-Right Auto, Hamilton and Tebby Law Office, Walters Tire, Decatur County Recycling, Acre Automotive Group, Gilliland Howe Funeral Home, and Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep. Tom and Ryan holding down things, holding down the fort here in the studio. It was a lot of fun. The parking lot was full this morning. But we've got Josh Lee on the phone line, I believe. Josh, you there?
Do we get the same problem as last time?
Hold on, Josh. Here, give me that phone. We'll be there. We'll get you in a minute, folks. Don't know what the deal is. Try that again. Hit the commercials. All right, take two. We'll try this again. Josh, you're there?
Hello.
There we go. We got you.
Hey, we got it.
We weren't trying to freeze you out.
It was when we had this problem a couple weeks ago, and I was sitting here for like probably 15 minutes, and I would try to interject something, and you guys would just keep going, and I was like, wait a minute, what did I do something wrong here? Are you guys icing me out? What's going on? But
yeah, I think the problem today was the phone was on mute, so I think that might be what caused the problem.
Well, that'll do it. You know, we've done this show for 7 or 8 years now, and we still have technical difficulties. Yeah. That's okay.
11.
That's okay.
11 years.
You know, 11 years. Yeah. I think I don't know how long. I maybe have been doing it for 8 of those years or 7 of those years. But you know, seeing as our correct percentage on Beyond the Game just continues to go up every single week. You know, we have to have a flaw somewhere, so sometimes we just can't get the technical side of things done. So we can't be perfect everywhere.
That's true. Very true.
So how is everybody this morning? What's the weather like down there?
It is 9 degrees this morning and cold.
Very cold.
Very cold.
Oh my gosh. You know, you guys, I was in Idaho all week for work, big dairy country out there.
Yeah.
And it was 55 degrees and sunny the whole time. I actually went over to a coworker's house, and and we sat in the driveway, and I think I had a short sleeve shirt on. It was pretty nice.
That's crazy.
I think I probably got a sunburn too, but we don't have to talk about that.
Well, Jason's not here. I don't know if he's going to be in or not. They probably had their walkthrough this morning. They beat
That's my
Batesville
first
last
guess.
night, and they'll have the sectional championship game tonight. Another sectional championship opportunity for Jason. Seems like that is kind of like the sun coming up in the morning. The Greensburg girls winning sectional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've certainly had a pretty good run over the last few years, and I know they played Jennings County, who has senior Molly Ernstis. I think, Tom, you could correct me if I'm wrong. She'll probably be an Indiana All-Star.
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah,
the magazine that comes out that talks all about high school basketball and everything, she's either on the cover or in one of the articles, but she is in there. So yeah, I really expected Jennings County to be really good this year, but like a lot of schools, they had some players that just didn't want to play this year. And I'm glad for Greensburg's standpoint, although they handled everything pretty well earlier in the season against Jennings County. So you never know in basketball, but I feel pretty solid that it's not going to harm our correctness rate if that happens. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel pretty solid about that one. I feel solid about our percentage going up. So good luck to them tonight. Is that at Greensburg, or where is that?
No, it's at Franklin County.
Oh my Lord, what a terrible gym! But
yeah, they haven't had it at Greensburg in a long time.
Yeah, it's Franklin County. Good choice there, but
yeah,
I mean, it's better than being at Jennings County. So good luck to them tonight. I feel like they'll bottle up Ernstis again. She might get her 25 points, but it's probably going to take her 25 shots. So
yep.
Good luck to them. And
that's always kind of been Jason's strategy with her is, she'll get her points, but make her work to do it.
Yeah. Yep. So good luck to them, and everybody tune in tonight. I'm sure it's on the radio. So if you can't make it down there, tune in to the game and watch them get hopefully another sectional championship.
Absolutely.
I bring up the correctness of Beyond the Game, and I know we have the Super Bowl coming up, which is, to me, it's the least anticipated Super Bowl that I can ever remember. So I know we're going to get into that, but it didn't happen. But the Milwaukee Bucks are already trying to trade Miles Turner.
Yeah, and they were unsuccessful. Nobody wanted it.
And for all the injuries that the Pacers have had, obviously starting with Tyrese Halliburton, and then every time you turn around, you kind of see they have 4 or 5 of their core rotation sitting out for the game. The Bucks aren't that much better than the Pacers with Giannis and $30 million of Miles Turner. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually love the trade that the Pacers made at the trade deadline on, what was that, Thursday?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I have some mixed feelings about it, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we'll break it down. So Vika Zubac, and I know we're not big NBA fans, and we all kind of got captivated by that run that the Pacers had, and I think it just I think the wound was a little too deep this year with Halliburton getting hurt, obviously, in Game 7, and I just don't think that we knew what this season was going to be. So if you don't follow the NBA, and like I said, I haven't watched I don't even know if I've watched one full game combined of all the NBA minutes played this year, but Pacers acquire Vika Zubac and Kobe Brown, not Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Brown from the LA Clippers in exchange for Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and a pair of first-round picks. So, if you don't know much about Vika Zubac, he is 7-footer, a great defensive center. He's been either All-NBA first or second team defensively the last couple years. He's on a great contract, a $20 million a year contract. And, what the Pacers were lacking is exactly what Zubac is going to bring to the table. And this is a trade not for this year, obviously. This is a trade for next year. And his contract lines up perfectly with what the core of the Pacers have. I think he's got, after this year, he has 2 years remaining on his deal. So they have a core locked up of Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Ivica Zubac, Andrew Nebhard, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. So they're bringing the band back. And, all we talked about last year was with Miles Turner and the lack of rebounding for a 7-footer and the lack of inside scoring. And for everything that Miles Turner wasn't, Ivica Zubac is. For the Clippers this year, he's averaging 14 points, 11 rebounds. He's not going to get you 5 blocks a game, but he's going to change at least 5 shots a game. He's unbelievable in the pick and roll, the way that he can set screens and the angles and how he dives. It's going to open up Indiana's offense even more. And even though he doesn't shoot threes, him just diving to the basket is just going to create lanes for everybody. And I can't be more excited about it, and I can give a little bit more opinion. But Tom, why don't you give your thoughts on it, and Ryan?
I think it's a really good move for next year. My only concern, they gave up a 2029 unprotected first-round pick. Okay, no big deal, but they gave up one for this year, and it's protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. So in the lottery, if the Pacers get between 5 and 9. The pick goes to the Clippers. And my concern is that the Pacers are going to improve this year with this new addition, and they're going to mess it up. And there's some great players in college at the top of this draft. And I don't want to see the Pacers end up in one of those situations where they get pick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm not sure that the center is worth giving up that kind of draft pick. Ryan, what do you think?
It's a very much win-lose situation. To Josh's point, this is more of a move for next year. I saw something, it popped up on my phone last night, that the new center, he's on maternity leave because his wife just welcomed in their first child, and he has an ankle injury, so they're not going to rush his debut. So it'll probably be maybe a month, 2, who knows. But I'm pretty sure they only have 28 games left.
That sounds about right.
So in their 28 games, you win 5, you're fine. I would assume, knowing the Pacers, they're probably going to win. They could win 10. Who knows?
But I would love to see the Pacers get the number 1 pick for once. I remember when they got the number 2 pick, and they ended up getting Steve Stepanovic. And it was, I can't remember who was drafted first, but I know it was a great player.
I want to go ahead. Keep going, Ryan, and I'll look that up.
But it when I saw it, I was like, oh, they finally got their big man. Jay Huff has been incredible this year, but they finally got their big man, and I was just waiting to see, who they got rid of. And I was hoping it was going to be along the lines of either Benedict or, cross my heart, hope to die, it was, I didn't want it to be, but it was going to be Obi Toppin. Those were my 2 first guesses. And Benedict, God rest, I thank him. I don't think he was ready, at least not for Indiana. Maybe for the Clippers, in a different role. But I think it's very much a Kevin Pritchard move to say, when Tyrese comes back, I need the rest of the NBA to know we're coming for the championship that we didn't deserve to lose.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm still confused by the whole thing. The Pacers, Mathurin was going to be a restricted free agent this year, and the Pacers were not going to pay him what he is probably going to want, what he'll probably get out on the market, or if the Clippers decide they want to keep him. Steve Ballmer's got tons of money. He can afford to pay all those players. and but the Pacers are not going to put themselves in a position where they have to pay any luxury tax, not even a dollar that they're going to pay in luxury tax. So they had to look at building the team, improving this year, but like you said, Josh, and you said, Ryan, getting things set up for next year. So, yeah, I mean, in Isaiah Jackson, he tore his Achilles last year, right?
Yeah, and 2023 season, or, the 2024 season, he was good in the playoffs against the Bucks and the Knicks in the 4-game series against the Celtics. He was very good. He was the smaller, skinnier version of Miles Turner, but he could actually get rebounds. That was the difference. And last year, and it sucked because it happened with 3 different players. We had 3 good centers last year. We had Turner, we had Jackson, and we had James Wiseman. We had 3 very good centers who could get the ball. 2 of them got hurt in the first week. So, Isaiah Jackson, same thing with Benedict Mathurin. I thank you for your time in Indianapolis. You did well, but I think the new addition is only going to help next year. And, even if they get 5 through 9, I think Tyrese, Andrew, Aaron, Pascal, and our new center, that's a good starting 5 right there. And I would put, I'm not talking about real money, I'm talking about fake money, but I would put money on the Pacers to win the East again there.
Yeah, and so in the 1983 draft, and this didn't really turn out well for Houston, but they took Ralph Sampson number 1 overall, and but he was regarded as and still is as one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. So
3-time National Player of the Year, 3 times.
Yeah, and the only one to do that. So he's that was the slam dunk number 1 pick. Other players in that draft. Clyde Drexler was drafted 14th in that draft. So, it wasn't the 1984 NBA draft with Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, then Sam Bowie, and then Michael Jordan. But, yeah, the Pacers have never had the number 1 overall pick. And if you look at what this draft basically is, it's 1 through 4, and then it's everybody else. And the 1 through 4 is the players that are projected to go there are slam dunk rotation players right away for the Pacers if they can land that. You have Darren Peterson from Kansas. You have A.J. DeBonsta from BYU. You have Cameron Boozer from Duke, and you have Caleb Wilson from Michigan. And those guys are your slam dunk top 4 picks. They would be in that rotation right away for the Pacers. If you got down to that 5 through 9, and here's why I like it, and I'm extremely worried that it's going to go in that 5 through 9 selection, because I do think, although Kevin Pritchard made this trade, and he works extremely closely with Rick Carlisle, I think they know the assignment, right? Like Ivica Zubac, like you said, Ryan, just had a baby, has an ankle injury that he's been dealing with all season. I think he should probably get 4 months of maternity leave. Just let him heal up. Let him spend time with his family. The Pacers are all about family. So just let him take the time and watch his son for the first 4 months, help his wife out. I think that's the prudent thing to do for the Pacers. But, if it goes 5 through 9, that player probably isn't going to break in to the rotation like somebody 1 through 4 would do. You're going to have Jarris Walker, T.J. McConnell, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, Andrew Nebhard, Ivica Zubac, Halliburton, and Siakam as your top 8. And you can play Jay Huff as a backup center. You can play Johnny Furphy or Ben Shepherd. Like, those guys are probably going to be more ready than a guy like Keaton Wagler, or I watched the game last night, but Braylon Mullins from Greenfield is projected to go 10th. Those guys aren't going to be ready to help a team win a championship. But if you can get in that 1 through 4 spot, those guys will. So, it's a risky move because of how strong the top of that draft is. But the Pacers know that, and the Clippers know that. That's why the Pacers put those protections on it. But the Pacers have sorely been lacking any sort of interior presence over the really in 10 years that Miles Turner played there. I mean, Miles Turner was fine, but he certainly isn't worth $30 million. He's not worth the $20 million that they're going to pay Ivica Zubac next year. So I just like that they know that the title window is now. They know that Tyrese is going to come back healthy, and they filled their biggest need, which was a rebounding defensive center that can score in the post, a guy that can match up with some of the better bigs in the NBA, a guy that is fantastic in pick and roll defense, which was always a weakness of Miles Turner, the lack of lateral quickness from Miles Turner. It really hampered that pick and roll defense. So I think it's a great trade. I never like giving up first round picks, but if you look at some of the first round picks that are basically outside of the top 3 in every draft, you're going to find guys here and there. But look, Benedict Mathurin was a top 6 pick a few years ago, and for as well as he scored the ball, he didn't play defense. He was extremely hot and cold, very inconsistent. And, in Game 7, he played probably his best game as a Pacer. I think he had 27 or 28 points and really held them in there. But you didn't know what you were getting from Mathurin, not only game to game, but really play to play. And, that's something that, to your point, Tom, they weren't going to match any offer, restricted free agency wise, that was put on the table. So if you look at it from what's going to happen in June and July in free agency of 2026, if they don't make a trade like this and they still land outside of the top 4, then you're losing Mathurin for nothing. You're still getting a player that you would maybe rely on a little bit more, but probably not still. And like I said, you're getting nothing for Benedict Mathurin. So to me, this is kind of like one of those trades in baseball that you see made that are like, okay, well, this guy's a free agent after this season, and we're not going to bring him back. So we need to try to maximize his value and get something for him, because the Pacers weren't going to be able to sign a guy like Zubac on the open market because of the lack of their salary cap space, and you can spend into the luxury tax to retain your players, but if you're up against the salary cap, you can't sign anybody to go over the salary cap and go into the luxury tax. So this is it's really hard to question anything that Kevin Pritchard does. Every move that he's made for the Pacers have seemingly worked, from the trade of Sabonis for Halliburton, for the trade of 3 first-round picks for Pascal Siakam, for drafting Andrew Nebhard in the second round, for trading 2 second-round picks for Obi Toppin, for signing T.J. McConnell. You can go down the list on the moves that he's made, trading Malcolm Brogdon for Aaron Nesmith. I mean, every move that he's made seemingly turns into gold. So hopefully that the NBA gives them the Dallas Mavericks luck of the NBA draft lottery, and we go from there. The worst place that they can actually finish is 5th. I think if they finish with the worst record, they can't drop out of the top 4.
No, they could end up at 5. The worst could end up at 5.
I thought that there was I'm probably wrong. I just thought there was a protection in there if you were the worst team, but it
used to be you were guaranteed in the top 3. But
okay.
I read an article about it earlier this week that you can go as far back as 5. If you have the worst record, you can go to 5. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
The Jazz had the worst record last year, and I think they fell either 3rd or 4th, but it was said on the broadcast they could fall all the way to it was either 5 or 6. You could fall all the way back, even with the worst record. And that's why tanking, like, let's be honest, like, the Pacers are not a bad team by any means, but they're tanking out of their minds right now. I don't know if you guys saw, it was sometime last week, a team they faced had 4 starters out. You know what the Pacers did? They sat out all of their starters just so they wouldn't win the game. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, they're tanking on all kinds of levels. And that's why even if you tank and you're bad, you have to hold out on dumb luck just to get a top 4 pick.
You know, I can't imagine that that would happen. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. So the right now the Sacramento Kings have the best odds or the worst record. So they would have they can't drop out of the top 5. You're correct in that. The second worst team can't drop out of the top 6. The third can't drop out of the top 7, so on and so forth. Right now, the Pacers have 27, 39, 50. They have about a 52% chance to pick in the top 4, and they're actually their highest odds are to pick 5th and then 6th. But yeah, so I mean, it's a calculated move. You know, it's a better than 50% chance if you finish in the top, really the top 4 worst records to get a top 4 pick. So if you're 1 through 3, you have a 14% chance to get number 1, and 13.4% chance to get 2, and 12.7% chance to get 3, and 12% chance to get 4. So yeah, it's I think they have too much talent to finish with the worst record, but there's going to be some bullets being sweat in that NBA draft lottery on May 10th.
Well, the way that the draft lottery is set up, the top, or actually the bottom 3 teams have the same percent of the ping pong balls, or however they do it. They're all at 14.3% if you're 1, 2, or 3. So yeah, I mean, the Pacers could make it to 3rd and still have, you know, a decent chance of getting, like you said, Josh, a top 4, top 3. I would just love. I realized this morning this is actually the 50th year that the Pacers have been in the NBA. I did not realize, or this next season. That's what I meant. So, but yeah, Rick Carlisle. Do you really feel like he's coaching to lose games? He doesn't strike me as somebody that would do that.
I don't know if he's coaching to lose games, but I can tell you the player. Look, tanking is a weird term. I don't think anybody's going out there intentionally missing shots or intentionally not doing their job. But the way it seems, like you look at stat lines and look at everything, it seems like they're not really trying until the game's almost over. Like they were down like 15 to the Bucks last night, and then they almost beat them. It doesn't seem like they're trying until the game's over, but it also doesn't seem like they want to be out there in the first place.
I have a feeling that after, I believe the NBA All-Star Game is next weekend, Pascal Siakam is representing the Pacers. My guess is you're going to start seeing 3 to 4 players sitting out per game. Just, you know, the worst case scenario would be one of those rotation players getting an injury and sacrificing next year. So to your point, Ryan, I don't think that players are actually intentionally throwing the games or anything along those lines. But, you know, you look and when they play the Jazz a couple nights ago, I think on Thursday night or Wednesday night, they played the Jazz. And they sat out like 8 guys. You know, looking at the box score, guys that didn't play. And I think you're going to start seeing this a lot for the Pacers. Pascal Siakam didn't play for rest. TJ McConnell, left knee. Andrew Nebhard, lower back injury. Aaron Nesmith, left hand. Benedict Mathurin, rest. So they started a lineup of Jarris Walker, Jay Huff, Ben Shepherd, Cam Jones, and Johnny Furphy.
Now that's a championship. That's a championship starting lineup.
That team beat the Thunder right there.
So I think that you're going to start seeing more along the lines of that happening. But every win right now, or every loss right now for the Pacers is a tank win. The Pacers aren't very lucky, and especially in the NBA draft lottery. But at some point in time, does the NBA help out the Indiana Pacers like they did the Dallas Mavericks? Because look, right now, who in the East is the NBA super excited to represent in the NBA Finals? If you look back at that series and what the Pacers did, and I know that we're looking at it through our blue and yellow glasses, or blue and gold glasses, but everybody was tuned into those NBA Finals, I feel like, and the way that Tyrese he somewhat became the villain, but people still kind of enjoyed rooting for Tyrese Halliburton. So, I mean, are you overly excited about a Detroit Pistons Oklahoma City Thunder matchup?
No.
I don't think the NBA is. Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum.
He's coming back. He's going to be back before the season's over. Yeah. He did it in front of the press. He did an hour workout nonstop for an hour. So yeah, he's going to be back at some point.
The fact that they're, I think, 16 games over 500 now, and he's going to be back either by the end of the year or probably maybe round 2 of the playoffs. And round 2 would probably be against, I'm going to get killed for saying this, probably against a not good Cleveland team. Scares me.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, and I feel like the NBA and the narratives that they want to create, it would be great if the Pacers do land that. They have the rotation set up. Tyrese Halliburton comes back. Like, that's a story that the NBA can get behind. So maybe that's just me hoping more than anything else. But yeah, it'll be interesting to follow along. I'm not watching, but it'll be interesting to follow along the next couple months of the NBA season to see where the Pacers fall. Right now they're 13-39. You play at that winning 1 out of every 4 game, 250 win percentage the rest of the season, and you should be right there in the bottom 3.
So, Josh, you talked about the players that are looked at as the top 5 picks in this draft. If you're the Pacers, if you get the number 1 pick, where do you go with that number 1 pick? Who do you take?
I think it's really hard not to take the guy, AJ DeBonsta from BYU. Earlier in the season, I loved Darren Peterson. I still do. I think he's a walking bucket. But there's just I've seen stuff floating around, and it doesn't mean that it's truth. But as good as Darren Peterson is, like, there are people out there that are questioning how much he loves basketball, and I don't think that really gels with Kevin Pritchard or the style of the Indiana Pacers. I think if you can get that wing in there like DeBonsta, who just went for 40 points the other night, and he's been incredible. He's 6'9", 210. He basically can do everything. The NBA comparison is Tracy McGrady, and I know a lot of people think of Tracy McGrady as the guy that was always hurt and did this, but the first couple years that he was in the NBA, people thought he would change the way that the NBA was played. So those 6'9", 6'10", two-way 3-and-D wings, those are hard to find. And if you can roll out a lineup where Aaron Nesmith next year is coming off the bench as like a super sub, and you have Halliburton, Siakam, Zubac, Nembhard, and DeBonsta, that's hard to argue with that. Caleb Wilson is another guy that from North Carolina. I said Michigan earlier, but from North Carolina, that is another guy. But he's more in the role of like Siakam. But if you can get guys that are 6'9", 6'10", that can extend it a little bit, I got to go with somebody like that. But full disclosure, Darren Peterson could turn into just the best scoring wing in the NBA at 6'5". So Look, just hitting the top 4, and I don't care. But right now, I would lean towards DeBonsta from BYU.
You know,
how about you guys?
Yeah, I would be very concerned about Peterson because he can't finish a game. He gets hurt every time. They played against BYU, and he had an incredible first half. He couldn't play the second half. So I don't know. I think there would definitely be some concerns there. I would think if he's doing that in college, what is that going to carry over into his NBA career? Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah. When the season first...
Oh, wait. Is it Peterson or Patterson?
Peterson.
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 When the season first started, I was all in on Darren Peterson. Oh, my Lord. I looked at him and I said, that right there, him and Halliburton are going to tear up the East. As the season goes on, and to Josh's point, it's hard to not respect the dude, but hard to look at him the same when you realize he's only there to get paid. The dude is incredible on the court. He can hit anything he wants to. But he also doesn't... He's that one kid in high school that is the star athlete who doesn't like the sport he's playing. And it's so weird to see because you never see it. You know, he's that star kid that just doesn't like it.
And you know, he could be a guy, and let's be honest about him, though. I mean, we're kind of hating on him a little bit, but he could be a guy that shouldn't be in college basketball right now. He should be in the NBA. He should be a starting player in the NBA. And, you know, let's be honest, it's kind of pointless for him to be playing in college basketball at this point in time. The fact that guys can get paid what they're getting paid, but at 18 years old, they can't go straight to the NBA, to me is insane.
Yeah, it is
So
ridiculous.
Maybe he is a guy that doesn't want to play in college, and he's just trying to stay healthy for the NBA. I can't knock a guy for that at this point in time. So, you know, I think he could be a guy where you're sitting there and you have some questions about some things, and you know, to our point here, does he really love it? Does he care to be at Kansas? And you know, that's some intangible stuff that you have to get through, but then you put him on the court and he turns into, you know, a Dwayne Wade type or a Donovan Mitchell, which is kind of what, you know, he's trending to be. And, you know, Donovan Mitchell was selected outside of the top 10 and now he's one of the best two guards in the NBA. So maybe that's where Darren Peterson is at. He's kind of milking it a little bit because he wants to get to be 100% healthy for the NBA.
You know, the only guy that I'm worried about if the Pacers land in the top 4, it's not a knock on him or his dad. I think Cameron Boozer is a phenomenal player. You know, he plays at Duke, for crying out loud. But out of the top 4, and you know, to Josh's point, you know, there's 4 good players and then there's the rest. Cameron Boozer, it's weird because, you know, he plays at Duke. His dad was, you know, phenomenal big in the NBA.
Played at Duke.
But he reminds me, and this is going to be weird for me, he reminds me he's the Anthony Richardson of this year's draft.
You know, I think he's a really great college player. I'm just not sure that his skill set is going to transition well into the NBA. I mean, he's 6'9", 250. You know, he can hit a three every now and then, but you know, around the basket, he doesn't have a lot of great moves. He's just strong and is able to force his way to the basket and get some points, but he's not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to push people around in the NBA. So, yeah, I'm worried about him.
Yeah, you go around Jokic. Jokic is going to put him on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a super explosive athlete. I mean, to me, he would be number 4. I would be certainly happy if the Pacers got in the top 4 and they ended up with him. I mean, that's, you know, if he's a guy that's coming in and backing up Zubac and Siakam and he can allow Siakam to play the 5 and he plays the 4 in a smaller lineup, like I'm all good with that. I could see the Pacers taking him even if they had number 3. I just, it's sometimes they don't do the conventional thing. But it's I'd be happy with any of those guys. I would be less happy with Boozer just because I don't think that he has the explosiveness to be an NBA All-Star. I could be completely wrong. I mean, our percentage is like 98.9 at this point in time, but it could move it down 0.1% if I'm wrong on Cameron Boozer. And if he gets drafted to the Pacers 4th and we're wrong on that, I'll be happily wrong when it comes to that. So he would be number 4 for me. But again, that would be a pretty good consolation prize if you did end up in that top 4.
Yeah, it's just like I wouldn't be mad with Cameron Boozer. Top 4 pick. He's obviously a very good athlete. I'm worried. To Tom's point, is it going to translate to the NBA? Because we've seen it all the time with basketball, baseball, football, hockey. Some skills just don't translate to the majors. It's something that it happens with everybody, and he's going to have to probably put on, hopefully, people, stop gaining height over time, but if he could somehow gain another inch or two and put on another 20 pounds of pure muscle and be able to gain certain more skills around the paint and be able to not just force your way in there, but to be able to actually have a dribble drive or a step back or any type of move and be able to hit a 3. Because in today's NBA, a 4 or 5, you're expected to hit 3s regardless. And that was the one thing that Miles Turner could do. He was a stretch big who couldn't rebound the ball, but he could hit more 3s than he could get rebounds. And that's what I'm afraid of Cameron Boozer. I'd be afraid that his skill level isn't going to translate, and he's going to be a Miles Turner. He's not going to be able to get the rebounds, but he's going to be able to hit some decent shots.
Yeah, a name that came up earlier in the show was Ralph Sampson. You talk about Peterson or about Cam Boozer and Peterson with the not really loving basketball. You look at Ralph Sampson, 3-time National College Player of the Year, was not what he was supposed to be in the NBA. So I think that's another thing there. Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, Boozer, I just looked this up. He's the youngest player in the draft. He's not even 19 years old yet. He's averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 2 steals per game.
Not too bad.
Maybe we're just looking at that he's not as athletic as a DeBonsta or as explosive as Peterson, but I could come around to Cameron Boozer pretty easily. I think if the Pacers land in that top 3 and DeBonsta and Peterson are 1 and 2, I think by the time the 3rd pick rolls around and they take Cameron Boozer, I think we would all be very happy with that pick because he would probably be the number 1 pick in any draft over the last, take out Victor Wembanyama, any draft over the last 5 to 7 years. So we'll see. Let's hope that Rick Carlisle understands the assignment and gets these guys some rest. Zubac spends some time with his family, much deserved time. I think we should all take 4 months off when you have a baby, but let's let Zubac do that, and let's get that number 1 pick overall, and then have the choice of the riches that you could possibly get.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, Ryan.
Yeah, going into this season, I didn't know what to expect. I was hoping the Pacers would be good, but at the same time, I was hoping they wouldn't be. For some reason, part of me wanted to believe they were going to have like what the Celtics are having right now, and that the 4 of Siakam, Nesmith, Nembhard, and probably more or less Jay Huff and maybe Mathurin going into the season would be able to get maybe rally off 35 or 40 wins, somehow make the play in, and shock the world and beat the 1 seed or something. But in reality, the season is going exactly how it should go. You lose your star player, the best player on your team, in Game 7 in the NBA Finals. This is a total wash of a year, which doesn't happen. It happens, but it doesn't happen very often. And you get a chance to not only get a new center in the process. You drafted a couple decent players in last year's draft that are probably going to stick around for probably at least a couple years till the rookie contracts, are done. And now you have a chance to turn it into a top 4 draft pick, with dumb luck, that turns into potentially one of what could be the best draft picks you're ever going to have as an organization outside of, Reggie Miller. So I think I don't think anybody would wish for a season like this where it's injuries nonstop and, it's painful to watch as a fan. But as an organization, to go from heartbreaking Game 7 to have a wash of a year, but to turn around to get a new center and potentially a top 4 draft pick, which could be the second best pick of your organization's, entire history, I think overall, even if they win 20 games, it's a steal of a year.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, hopefully it plays out that way. We had the heartbreak last year of Game 7, and let's hope the ping pong balls fall the right way for the Pacers, and they can add a difference maker and get back to the NBA Finals next year.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be great for the Pacers. Well, can we move on to a different topic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh, I know you and I are both tennis fans. Last Sunday, Carlos Alcaraz won the Australian Open, beat Djokovic in the final. He's 22 years old, and he's already won the career Grand Slam. The person that had the record for being the youngest to do that was Rafael Nadal, and Alcaraz is 18 months before that. He was, at 22 years and 23 and a half, I guess, for Nadal when he did it. But and the guy won't be 23 until early May. He's got 7 Grand Slam wins so far, championships. And I was thinking about it this week. I don't know. I don't want to jinx the guy because I feel like we kind of did that with Tiger Woods, because when he really got going, we talked about how he was going to end up winning 25 majors, 30 majors, and injuries stopped that. The record for tennis is 24, and you would think with Alcaraz, the way that he plays, and he's just getting better each time he plays, that he is going to have a chance to reach and break that record. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. And not only with the way he plays, but the way that he can win long matches, 5-set matches, and at 22 years old. I mean, he kind of came on the scene right away, and he was going to be the next Nadal. And, I think I think he will eventually – I don't know if he's ever going to pass Djokovic or even Federer for how good I think he is. But, Nadal won 14 of his Grand Slams on clay, and he did get the career Grand Slam, but he was more – 14 of your – what'd you say Nadal had, 21, 22?
No, Nadal had 21, I believe.
So 14 of his 21 majors on one surface. To me, Alcaraz is more of an all-around player, an all-surface player. I don't know if he's going to get to 25. That's a long ways away, but he's not going up against, as good as Jannik Sinner is, cheating and everything that he's done. Don't get me started on Yannick Sinner. Multiple tests for performance-enhancing drugs failed. He missed only I think he missed like 4 months, but really only 2 months that you could play. He didn't miss any Grand Slams. He didn't miss the Italian Open, which he's from Italy. And it's the same coach that had a female player who was ranked number 1 get busted for the same thing. And we're trying to turn a blind eye to that because he's ranked number 1 or 2 overall. So Yannick Sinner clearly isn't in that category of Alcaraz, nor is he in the Djokovic, Nadal, Federer category. So somebody will come along to be that Djokovic to Nadal and Federer for what Alcaraz and Sinner are. There needs to be a third guy that can get in there, and then occasionally like an Andy Murray fourth guy. But man, I don't see anybody challenging Carlos Alcaraz unless it's Yannick Sinner. I mean, the guy's incredible. He gets to every ball. He's got a great personality. He's easy to root for. And again, I don't know if he's going to get to 25. There's a lot of injuries and things along those lines. And Djokovic could still get to 25. It doesn't necessarily look that way, but upsets happen in tennis. And Francis Tiafoe beat Carlos Alcaraz a couple years ago in the U.S. Open. So upsets happen in tennis. But the way that Alcaraz's career is trending, the youngest player to get the career Grand Slam, there's a path for him to be the greatest player of all time, only being 22 years old right now.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, I don't want to jinx him like we did with Tiger, but yeah, it's amazing to watch the guy play. And you talk about upsets. Everybody thought it was going to be an Alcaraz-Sinner final, and here comes Djokovic and wins in 5 sets against Sinner to knock him out. So, yeah, upsets do happen, but yeah, Alcaraz is just so good.
Yeah, he's kind of putting together one of those Scotty Scheffler type runs, and what Scotty's doing golf-wise is insane. He hasn't missed a cut since I want to say 2002 maybe. And he shot a 2 over par 73 round on Thursday, which was his worst round on the PGA Tour since 2004. That was just 2 over par, and that was his worst round since 2004. He comes back yesterday with a 6 under 65 and if you look at it, you're probably going to look at the end of the day today, and he's going to be 2 or 3 shots back of the lead going into the final round of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So Scotty Scheffler, Carlos Alcaraz, incredible athletes. You're watching golf and tennis at the right time if you're getting into it, because Scotty's putting on a Tiger-like run from those early years of Tiger Woods.
Yeah, definitely. Something else, it's almost time for the break, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit after that. But guys, tell me, and I know you're not fans of the WNBA, but I mean, they have skyrocketed in popularity over the last 2 years since Caitlin Clark came into the league. They are blowing it. They are going to throw all that away because they can't agree to a collective bargaining agreement. The season starts in May. They still have to have the expansion draft for 2 teams, and then the regular draft, and then get to start the season on time. And now we're already in February. It's they are just throwing everything they've gained over the last couple of years. They're just throwing it away.
Does any of that surprise you, Tom?
No.
I mean, every interview you ever see from WNBA players, I shouldn't say every WNBA player is, we deserve this amount of money. We deserve this. We deserve this. We're not getting this. I'm better. I'm the best player. If I played anybody one-on-one, I'd beat him. I don't care who it is. Like, how they've kind of become, I don't know what it is and why they act the way that they do, but they act like they're the biggest draw in the world, when in reality, they're behind probably 8 or 9 other sports. And yeah, they have made some strides. And Caitlin Clark has certainly been the reason behind that. It's not anybody else. Is the reason behind that. And they're throwing any goodwill that they made out the window with every interview that they have. Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, anybody else. I don't even care to know anybody else. But every time they open their mouth, they say something dumber and dumber and dumber. And if they don't come to some collective bargaining agreement here and happen to miss their season, they're going to lose all the goodwill they built up with fans that weren't fans of the WNBA at that point. And then they're going to be left with fans that were only fans of the WNBA prior to 2 years ago. And you know what that's going to look like? About 3,000 people going to each one of those games. So when you're asking for money that's not there, or it's subsidized by the NBA, you need to make your own way at some point in time. And I think the WNBA players think they've made their own way, but they haven't made their own way at this point in time.
Yeah, Ryan, you got any opinion on that?
Yeah, to both of you guys' point, they're just, for all I've known my entire life, is when you looked at it's nothing against the women themselves. They're obviously good athletes, but all I've known is when it comes to sports, it didn't matter if it was the NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, golf, swimming, anything. It didn't matter what it was. Tennis. It didn't matter. The WNBA, for some reason, was always on the bottom. It's because they couldn't benefit from anything, and they were losing money left and right. In the span of about 2.5 short years, they gained Caitlin Clark, skyrocketed, went down a little bit, then went back up, and then I'm going to be honest, since the season's been over, you know how many times I've heard about the WNBA?
Probably none.
This is the first time.
Yeah, same.
It's not because they're not popular. I mean, they're obviously more popular than I would say from the beginning till now. I would say they're getting on the same kinds of levels. When it first started, I guarantee you it was before my time, but I'm sure it was it was up there. It had to be. But if they don't reach anything and they lose their season,
it's over.
They need to put it in the can quickly.
Yeah.
Before it gets any worse.
And Unrivaled has become so popular, the 3-on-3 league that they have. They went on the road for the first time. They play all their games in Miami for all the teams. They went to Philadelphia last weekend and broke the record for regular season women's basketball at any level. It was almost 22,000 fans. And, they're talking about going out on the road more next year. So, and they're making good money. I think the lowest salary in Unrivaled is $250K. So, and they get equity in the league. So, maybe. And then they've got this Project B thing that's going to be in Saudi Arabia. And I know Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell have already signed up to do that, which could interfere with the start of the next year for the WNBA. So, yeah, they need to figure something out and figure something out quick. I don't think they realize what they are putting on the line. I mean, they are putting the league on the line.
Who's the commissioner of the WNBA?
Kathy Engelbert.
Yeah.
She needs to go.
Yeah, she needed to go a long time ago.
Yep. We need to take our break. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gilliland Howe Funeral Home, Acre Automotive Group, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton and Tebby Law Office, and Buy Right Auto. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with hour 2 of Beyond the Game. Beyond the Game, excuse me, brought to you by Gilliland Howe Funeral Home, Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, By-Rite Auto, Hamilton and Tebby Law Office, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, and Acre Automotive Group. Did I say Gilliland Howe Funeral Home? I did say that. Ryan and Tom holding things down here in the studio, and we got Josh on the line. Josh, you want to start our next topic?
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, this is the best time in sports for the next 2 weeks, every 4 years. And people can say how great, the Masters is and the World Cup is and everything. The men's Summer Olympics, women's Summer Olympics. But the Winter Olympics, to me, is the best sporting event in the world every 4 years. This is the time of year and the time every 4 years where you'll tune into downhill skiing. You'll tune into the half pipe. You'll tune in even to figure skating to watch some of this. And as much as I love watching the pool events in the Olympics and track and field, I love the speed skating. I love curling. I love men's and women's hockey, downhill skiing, slalom skiing. Like, I'm captivated by all of the Winter Olympics, and it's gotten even more captivating to me with two things. With what the NHL did last year with the Four Nations Cup, and had Finland, Sweden, the U.S., and Canada in there. And now the return of the NHL players to the men's hockey side of it after 12 years away. And I know Russia's not in there because of political reasons, but you still have a very intriguing tournament with some definite bad blood still between the U.S. and Canada. But the story that's kind of taken everybody by storm here the last couple weeks, 1 week ago, 41-year-old Lindsey Vonn, who is one of the, if not the most well-known skiers of all time. I think you could throw out a guy like Bodie Miller in there, but Lindsey Vonn has certainly been mainstream, and certainly somebody that everybody has known about for a long time. She retired for 6 years, came back and was putting up some of the best times of her career and winning a lot of races in the women's downhill leading up to the Olympics. Tore her ACL not even 10 days ago, and went out yesterday and today and did some training runs on the downhill skiing, and she competes tomorrow for probably the final time in her Olympic career as on a torn ACL, going 90 miles an hour down a ski hill. Tom, I've been skiing one time, went down the bunny hill, fell about 50 times and said, screw it, I'm going to the chalet and drinking beers.
Yeah, same for me.
So the fact that she's doing this on a torn ACL, incredible. And I'll certainly be waking up at 5:30 tomorrow to watch the women's downhill skiing and see how Lindsey Vonn does.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Josh, it's crazy to think of what she's doing. First of all, you wouldn't expect somebody that's in their 40s to be able to ski at the top level with all the competitors that there are. But she's got a titanium right knee because she had to have a knee replacement. Now she's got a blown out ACL in her left knee, and she's going to go down that hill at 80 miles an hour with a torn ACL. But this was the reason she came out of retirement, was for the Olympics. And it was just an added bonus that she was doing as well in the World Cup races earlier this season. So, yeah, I love it. Like you said, the speed skating's incredible. The ski jumping, I love to watch that.
Yeah.
There's just so much of the Winter Olympics that is great.
You know, and so Lindsey Vonn is trying to become the oldest alpine skier to win a medal at any Olympics. And the crazy thing is, in 2018, she became the oldest woman to medal in a ski race at the Olympics. So you go 8 years later, and yeah, I mean, she's trying to get on the podium here. She's got 2 opportunities in the women's downhill and the women's Super G, which I believe the women's downhill or the downhill is all about speed. And the Super G is somewhat like a slalom. I think you got to go through some gates and things along those lines, but she's competing in that. But then you also have Michaela Schifrin, who is the greatest alpine skier ever. She has 107 World Cup wins at the age of 30. But 4 years ago, in the 2022 Olympics, she was favored in all 6 events that she was participating in, and she didn't win a medal in any one of them. She didn't finish in 3 of her 6 races, so no medals. 107 World Cup wins, so she's the greatest downhill skier or alpine skier of all time. So she's another one that you need to follow. She's got a couple races in the giant slalom next, not this Sunday, but next, and then not next Wednesday, but the one after. So certainly somebody else to follow in there. And the funny story, and I'm not going to get into it because of I'll just let people look it up, but have you seen some of the allegations coming out for the men's ski jumping?
Oh yeah, my goodness, yeah.
So we won't bring it up anymore. It's hilarious. Go look it up if you're just sitting around listening to us, and get a pretty good laugh, because when you want to talk about trying to find any competitive advantage, I've never heard of trying to find a competitive advantage like that.
No.
But, yeah, go.
Yeah, it's not suitable for radio, folks. So look it up.
It's not suitable for radio, so go look it up. But you've got the Tkachuk brothers leading USA Hockey on the men's side again. You also have another set of brothers in Jack and Quinn Hughes on the USA Hockey team. They start next Thursday against Latvia. The women's hockey team, led by Hillary Knight, they're the favorites to win. And it's always going to be a USA-Canada thing in that. So get to know the women's hockey team, because they've got a better chance to win a gold medal than the men's hockey team, and the men's hockey team's right up there. So, I don't really know any of these figure skaters or really the speed skaters. I mean, I remember the guy like the Apollo Antonono and those guys in speed skating. I don't know who they are right now, but I'm certainly going to be following it. Man, the speed skating is just awesome to watch. I just love everything about the Winter Olympics. Snowboarding's awesome. I mean, curling is great. It's just so much fun to watch.
And for people who want to watch the Olympics, this is not to give any kind of endorsement to any particular network or anything, but the easiest way to watch the Olympics is on Peacock, because you get everything. You have access to everything. They only show certain stuff, certain times on NBC, and then they'll have it on USA. But Peacock has it all. So that's where I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, and we still have a little bit of Indiana flavor for the men's side. Lawrenceburg native Nick Gepper returns to the Winter Olympics. He won. Or at least medaled. I think he got the silver medal back in 2014. But yeah, from Lawrenceburg, he's switched over to the half pipe, so he's going to be on the snowboard, and he's a favorite, or at least a contender, to win a gold in that. So that'll be not next Friday, but the one after. So a little bit of time away, but guy from Lawrenceburg, Indiana, coming off the great slopes of Perfect North slopes down there. So. Yeah, you got the Jamaican bobsled team. They're making a return to the Olympics. So exciting stuff, man. I'm all for it. And like you said, Peacock does a really good job with their coverage. And basically, that's the only way that you can watch Indiana basketball at this point in time. So I'm assuming most everybody has Peacock. Yeah,
probably so. Josh, what do you want to go to next?
Is there we can, since I brought up Indiana basketball, we might as well talk a little bit about Indiana basketball. We didn't have the show last week, but I do have to bring up that Indiana was on quite a run over the last few weeks with the football national title. That I continue to wear hats and shirts. And if you ask Carrie, I'm getting something new in every day, magazines or license plate covers or sweatshirts. I'm basically just buying it all at this point, fellas. But and then they go and upset Purdue at Assembly Hall and just continued the dominance of what Indiana has done. Now, they had a little slip up at USC, but they return today here in a couple of hours to play at home against Wisconsin. And to me, this game is the biggest game of the year for Indiana. It's this to me will determine if they make the NCAA tournament or not. And in the first year under Darren DeVries, we've started to see some progress. You know, they're obviously not the most athletic, they're not the biggest, but they continue to battle, they continue to play well, and if they're knocking down shots, they can beat anybody. But they have an opportunity today against Wisconsin, who's kind of been that bugaboo for Indiana over the last 20 years. If they can find a way to beat Wisconsin today in Assembly Hall, their schedule sets up pretty well for them. You know, their remaining home games are against Oregon, who's having a down year, against Minnesota, who upset them and just beat Michigan State, but they've got them at home. They have Northwestern at home and Michigan State at home, which is going to be tough to win that one. But then they go on the road still to play Purdue. They go on the road still to play Illinois. So those are going to be two tough games. I don't see those as opportunities for wins for them. And then they have Ohio State to close it out. So they've got a couple quad one games still left to play. They picked up 2 of their last 3 quad one games. Minnesota beating Michigan State moved that into a quad one game. So they have no losses outside of quad one, which is big for the NCAA resume. So win today, I think they've got a really good shot to just take care of business at the games they should win, and they'll be in the tournament. But lose today, and you're going to have to steal one of those games against Michigan State, Purdue, or Illinois.
Yeah, I remember I was at work when they were playing Purdue, and I kept watching it on my phone, and I went, "Oh, they got this! They got this! They got this!" And I was a little scared because this year, more than anything else, they've had trouble in the second half closing out games, and I was just waiting for it to happen. And I tell you what, I respect the heck out of Purdue. I love Matt Painter. I love him as a coach, him as a person. But if there's one person that I'm grateful that he represents the state of Indiana. But if there's one person I absolutely love enjoying not being able to root for and anything like that, for him to mess up because he just simply can't play against Indiana, that's Braden Smith.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Losing record against Indiana. It's the golden generation of Boilermaker basketball, and Braden Smith, the best point guard they've ever had. And I'm not saying that, as a joke. He's the greatest point guard that Purdue's ever had, and probably statistically the best point guard the Big Ten has ever had. And he's 4-5 against Indiana, and that's 4-4 against Mike Woodson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I hadn't heard much about what was going on with the IU basketball team. I think it would be great, like you said, DeVries, when he got hired, he had to scramble to put a roster together. So, this isn't the ideal team that he wants to have, but with the folks that they're recruiting, the players that they're recruiting, you're going to see more of his style come into play, and you're really going to be able to start talking about IU making it to the second weekend of the tournament at least. I really feel like DeVries is a coach that's going to do that. And
go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's all right.
I was just, they have the first 4 recruits that he's brought in. He's got 3 coming in for next year and 1 for the following year. They're all ranked inside the top 80 in that 30 to 80 range, which is what you want. And DeVries has said that, he wants to build a multi-year program, not just trying to hit on the transfer portal every year. So again, he's trying to build that Purdue style of program, that consistency where what to expect, and the older guys are leading the younger guys. And I think that with some of these guys that he's recruiting, hopefully that they can get to that level. And we've said hopefully for every freaking show that we've had, Tom, in the last 11 years of Beyond the Game. We've said hopefully for Indiana basketball.
Yeah.
But I do believe that this is the chance that they can get some of that consistency. DeVries is showing players, skill position players, what it can look like inside of an offense that you play in. Like, to me, with what Cignetti has shown on the football side, you come in, you buy in, you do this, you get these results. DeVries is starting to show that a little bit on the basketball side. Oh, you want to come in and be a ball dominant scorer that shoots. If you want to shoot 15 threes a game or 5 threes a game, you can do whatever. And that's Lamar Wilkerson, who's second in the Big Ten in scoring, and he's putting up 25, 30-point games. So that's a good offense to play in. And I still wish they would up the tempo a little bit more. They don't have the depth to do that right now. And let's be honest, DeVries, we've gone over those numbers before. He doesn't play an up-tempo style, even though they shoot a lot of threes. But I think this seems to be a fun offense to play in. I think he runs his stuff a little bit like Cignetti, his program, as far as we're going to get in, we're going to do the work, we're going to get out. And Cignetti was doing an interview with I think it was Mark Ingram, former Alabama running back, and maybe a couple, I forget the other two guys, maybe Urban Meyer. And I think you can get, is it 18 practices or something like that in the spring? Tom?
Yes. Yeah. It's 15 or 18.
Yeah. So anyway, he was doing it, if it was 15, he was only doing 12 practices. If it was 18, he was only doing 15. So he's like, look, I've never had enough depth, and I want to keep my players fresh. So I'm not even using all the spring practices. And Mark Ingram said, man, that's going to make people want to come and play for you right away. So
yeah.
I think DeVries is building some of that stuff when it comes to the basketball side. Now, it's going to be a little transfer portal dependent again next year. But with his style and how he's playing, I think you're going to be able to attract some of those guys. But the big thing is the momentum of the program has to start building, and that starts with an NCAA tournament appearance. And with the way they shoot it, you can win a game or maybe even 2 games if you get hot. So but you got to get in first. And that only happens, in my opinion, if you beat Wisconsin today. There should be a good crowd. I know the weather sucks there, but it's a noon game at Assembly Hall. Wisconsin's been a problem for years for Indiana. They need that crowd, and they need to come out on fire. And I expect this is a bold Beyond the Game prediction. I expect Tucker DeVries to break out of his shooting slump, and he's going to hit 4 more threes today.
Wow. Okay, that sounds good.
And I think he's only hit 3 in the last 3 games. So that's a bold prediction that we're going for. But that's how I see it playing out, and I think they get the win, and I think they ultimately make the NCAA tournament.
From a recruiting standpoint, do you think that Indiana gets a little bit of a bump because of the success that they've had in football, and people have, they know more about Bloomington, and to see what Cignetti's been able to do? Does the basketball team get a little bit of a bump from that?
I don't see how it can hurt. Certainly, I mean, it's going to bring in more NIL dollars. It's going to bring in more. So money's key right now, and yeah, I think it is. I think getting guys. It's going to be more fun to get easier to get guys on campus going forward. Like, hey, we're having an official visit. Why don't you come watch Indiana-Ohio State football game? Like, and then everybody kind of gets, you see the crowd support, and then if like a day like today or in a month when they play Michigan State, like if they're kind of rolling a little bit, you get some recruits on campus for that Michigan State game, and the best point guard in the 2027 class, and Jason Gardner Jr. came to the Indiana-Purdue game, and he talked about the atmosphere and playing in big games, and that Indiana football helps Indiana basketball in that respect, just to get, like you said, more eyeballs on IU as a university, and I mean, they're basically, I know it's football, but they're basically a talking point every single day at this point in time on every national sports show.
Yeah, I mean, I would be telling recruits, I would take them to the football facility and have them look at that the championship trophy,
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
this is where we want to get, for the basketball team. That's the first place I would go with them.
Yeah, and Tom, I don't know your thoughts on this, but it doesn't look like Indiana football is going anywhere with the recruiting class and the transfer portal haul that they brought in. I think IU is going to be preseason ranked in the top 3. What do you think?
I've seen them in the way too early top 25s, and I've seen them anywhere from 2 to 5. Which
Does everybody have Notre Dame number 1?
No.
Is it Texas?
There's some that has. I've seen Texas. I've seen Ohio State, which is ridiculous. Ohio State should not be number 1 going into next season. Those are the 2 main ones that I've seen at number 1. But IU's been in that 2 to 5 range. So, now what do you do? I mean, the expectation now for the football team is really, really high. And you bring in a guy like Josh Hoover, who's going to be the starting quarterback next year. I'm a little concerned about the turnovers that he had this year. He was averaging a turnover and a half a game last season, but he's a guy that has great skill, and I just think that IU is now going to start just reloading. And you're going to start to see them build that depth. People are going to want to come to IU and play. Their national championship run, if nothing else, should convince young players that, man, I would like to go play there. I like the way they do things. And so, yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I would be shocked if they weren't number 1, but I'd also wouldn't be surprised knowing how the preseason rankings are. You look at the top 4 going in from last year. The only one that was even considerably ranked where they should have been was Ohio State. And I think Ohio State going into last year should have been number 1, obviously. But ranking shouldn't come out until like week 6, week 7, week 8, But if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be the following. It's going to be, for some reason, because Arch Manning's back and whatever, Texas at 1, Indiana at 2, Notre Dame or Ohio State at 3 or 4. But Indiana should be 1 because they're going to drop off a little bit at quarterback play. Yes. Hoover makes turnovers, but Mendoza at his last year at Cal, I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say he had 10 interceptions. So when you get to IU, you just, for some reason, it's the same thing that happened with Curtis Rourke. You stop throwing picks. You stop turning the ball over. And it's an undisciplined, a disciplined, when you get there, Cignetti goes, he gives you a line, and like you guys think, they're going to keep reloading each and every year.
Yeah, you see schools that have completely changed the way that they recruit now. Mm-hmm. I saw it from Ohio State. They got way more players out of the portal than they have since that's been open over the last few years. And Ryan Day has said, we're going to start looking at players that have produced at a school and bring more of those in, and not recruit as heavily in high school players that they have, because they got 28 freshmen coming in this year. And I don't know. I think that I would want to play for Cignetti. I would love to play for him. And
yeah, it's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan. I was going to say, it's not very often that you lose All-Americans at every level on the defensive side of the football, and you could reasonably see a path that they're better than they were last year. Yes, they're replacing D'Angelo Pons, but they're bringing in a former 5-star in A.J. Harris from Penn State, who started for 2 years at Penn State. And, he was going into last year, he was a projected number 1 or first-round draft pick. And so to bring him in to kind of replace Pons, the defensive line, guys that they're returning, guys that are coming back for another year, plus the 3 transfers that they brought in. Like, conceivably, they could be a better defense than they were last year. And then offensively, yes, they're replacing 2 running backs and Mendoza, obviously. But, they had a guy who was their starting running back get hurt in the 3rd game last year, who was better than Roman Hemby and Kalon Black and Lee Beebe. They're bringing in a guy from Boston College who was their top running back. Nick Marsh, the wide receiver that they brought in from Michigan State, has been compared to Elijah Surratt, but faster. Charlie Becker coming back, they brought in a guy from Tulane. Like, if Hoover can get the ball to his playmakers, similar to what Mendoza did. Like, Mendoza wasn't throwing for 350 yards a game, but he didn't turn it over. They lost 1 fumble all year, and it wasn't even Fernando Mendoza. What did he throw, 5 interceptions all year? And whenever he threw an interception, he came back and led a touchdown drive. So I don't think that Hoover's going to be better than Mendoza, but I don't think the drop-off is going to be big enough to have them go from winning a national championship to not making the playoffs. The key game is going to be the Indiana-Ohio State game at Indiana, October 17th. I think we can all circle that game right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think the loser of that game misses the playoffs or anything, but I think that could be your semifinal or final preview.
Yeah, it could very well be. I hate to say it, but I'm not as optimistic about Ohio State next year than a lot of other people are. I have a bad feeling about how next year's going to go. So I hope I'm wrong.
Why is that? I mean, they bring back Julian Sayin, they bring back Jeremiah Smith. They reload every year. What concerns you? What have they lost? And have they lost coordinators, or what's going on?
No, in the trenches, the offensive line, in the games that they played against good teams like IU and Miami, their line couldn't hold up. Their offensive line couldn't hold up. And then on the defensive line, you're losing 3. You replaced all 4 defensive linemen last year, and now you're going to lose another 3 this year and have new people coming in. And I don't know. I'm sure Ryan Day will figure out something to keep them up there, but and the defense, they had last year they had to replace 8 starters. This year they have to replace another 8 starters. And I don't care how deep your roster is. Eventually, if that keeps happening, things are going to go in a bad direction.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Ohio State doesn't have an easy schedule next year. I mean, they play about as difficult of a schedule that you can have in the Big Ten. So obviously they go to Texas the second week of the season, but they have to go to Iowa on October 3rd. They have to go to Indiana on the 17th. They have a bye week, and then they're at USC. Then they go and they play at home against Oregon, and then they still have Michigan at the end of the season. So, luckily Michigan, Ohio, and Oregon are at home. But Indiana and Texas and Iowa on the road, that's a tough little gauntlet that Ohio State has this year.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
Yeah. I saw their schedule. It was probably about 2 weeks ago, and I looked at it and I went, wait a minute. Is there a chance, and I wanted to ask you, Tom, and just hearing you now, it makes me wonder, is there a reality where they go 9-3?
I think it's possible. If you look at the schedule and what you think the other teams are capable of, yeah. I think a couple weeks ago I said that 10-2 best case, maybe 9-3. And I mean, it's just crazy. Ryan Day is 89-11 now since he's been the head coach at Ohio State, and we're worried about finishing 10-2 or 9-3 next year. It's that's just part of being a Buckeye fan, I guess. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I want to see what this new offensive coordinator is going to do. He's got NFL experience as an offensive coordinator and as a head coach. And it worked really well when he brought Chip Kelly in. And now we've got Arthur Smith.
I don't know about all that.
What's that?
Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith, yeah. I'm not a...
Look.
Well, Chip Kelly was not a great NFL coach either.
That's true.
I know that, but from all I've ever heard about Arthur Smith, I'm not saying he's bad by any means, because he could be. He could be. He's obviously, when you are making that kind of money, you obviously have to be good at what you do. It's a certainty. But what scares me is, I get that Aaron Rodgers was not, he's not, MVP caliber Aaron Rodgers. But he had Aaron Rodgers, and for some reason, the Steelers just couldn't, sure, they won 10 games, but just couldn't do anything, it seemed like. And it scares me, from going from the NFL to college. Usually it works out.
Well, I want to see if lightning can strike twice, because last year they brought in Matt Patricia.
Exactly.
And Ohio State fans were just all up in arms about it, upset because he didn't win a lot in Detroit in the NFL, and he turned into having one of the best defenses in the country this past year. So, does lightning strike? And Arthur Smith brings that kind of experience in and is able... That's going to be one of the keys as well. The trenches and offensive coordinator. So that'll be it for next year.
Now, Ryan Day obviously thinks Arthur Smith is a good enough coordinator to bring in.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't... If he didn't believe in it, he wouldn't have brought him in.
Yeah.
Especially... Was this his 7th year as the head coach of Ohio State? Was it 19 his first year?
Yes, 7. This will be 8 starting this year.
He's obviously done a good enough. He's won 89% of the time. He's got a national championship. He's beaten Michigan twice. He's beaten the teams he needs to beat. Obviously outside of a couple of years. We do this every year with Ohio State. What was it, 2 years ago or last year? I think we came on here and I said, they're going to go 9-3 or 10-2. They go 12-0, make the Big Ten championship game. It's every year.
Yeah. I don't see him going anywhere, regardless of who the coordinator is. It's still Ryan Day's operation. And it's still Ohio State. They're still going to have the talent. It's still hard to win in the shoe. So I think at worst, they're 10-2 going into, and maybe they don't play in the Big Ten championship game. But I think they're going to win and enough to get into the college football playoff.
One of the interesting things about Arthur Smith going to Ohio State, you can only have a certain number of coaches that are able to go out on the road and recruit. Arthur Smith put them over that. He is not going to be able to go out and do a home visit with any players that they want for the offense. So the position coaches are going to have to do all of that. And, it's just crazy to think that they're not going to be able to have a coach that can't go out on the road and recruit, but that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's more along the lines of position coaches right now are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to recruiting. And then at the end, you bring those guys in, and it's Ryan Day and Arthur Smith. I just saw something come across that Indiana is now in the mix for the number 1 defensive lineman in the 2027 class. because he was committed to Texas Tech. The defensive line coach left Texas Tech, and now he's reopening his recruitment because a position coach left, and Indiana's right there in the mix. They're getting him. He's going to have an official visit some point in time to Indiana, and that's where Indiana football is right now. So I do think it's more position coaches as opposed to coordinators, but it is an interesting strategy to say the least that Arthur Smith isn't going on the road.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you guys this. I may have to jump off a couple minutes early here. Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame.
What a joke.
Your thoughts? Yeah, your thoughts on that?
It's a joke. It's ridiculous. How in the world does a guy with 8 rings, 6 of them came as a head coach, and he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Come on. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah. Look, as a Colts fan, it's like, going against them so many times, you start to, hate them. You know what I mean? But as the time goes on, look, he might have tarnished his legacy, the last couple of years in New England and then going to North Carolina. But that still doesn't change the fact, if anybody is a first ballot Hall of Fame coach in the Hall of Fame, his name's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's not, look, you can look at the Hall of Fame all you want. I'm going to tell you this right now. There is a man who's no longer alive who is in the Hall of Fame. His name's O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit there and tell me that Bill Belichick can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, the way that the precedent they set is because they're saying it was, Deflategate and the cheating and this and that and filming. And so is Tom Brady not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Exactly. Can you imagine if Tom Brady doesn't make it his first year?
I mean, I thought I thought the MLB was the only league dumb enough to not have guys become first ballot Hall of Famers and have to go on the second time just because. I think like Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't the first one on a first ballot Hall of Famer and guys like that. But now the NFL is going there, and man, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer if it's not Bill Belichick? It is a joke, and I saw Pat McAfee making fun of it a little bit, which was pretty good. Did you guys see that segment they had?
I didn't.
So they had the four Hall of Famers on his show, and they did kind of like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type thing, and it was like Vinatieri and somebody else, 2-on-2, and McAfee asked the question, who was the oldest player to ever score a touchdown in the Super Bowl? So none of them knew it, so they phoned a friend, and the friend that they phoned was Bill Belichick. And McAfee, Belichick got it right, and McAfee said, well, look, Coach, hopefully if you play your cards right, you can be on this segment next year. And Belichick started laughing, and, it was all in good fun. But, yeah, insane that went down that way. It's just crazy to me. So.
They have to make some changes with how the voting's done. They have to make it public what each person voted, how they voted, like they started doing in baseball. Now everybody gets to know who picked who, and I would love to see 11 people out of the 50 thought Bill Belichick was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. They've got to make some changes. They've talked about doing in-person voting instead of, you mail them the ballot, they fill it out, send it back in. So they've got to make some adjustments because it's ridiculous.
If you can't vote objectively and you can't take your personal opinions about the person out of it, then you shouldn't be voting for the Hall of Fame.
Well, and another part, the NFL has only put in 7 a year is the max that they can put in the Hall of Fame. I think you can have up to 5 current or former players. I'm trying go. You guys go ahead. I'm trying to think of.
I think it's and then they have some like legacy ballots or legacy
right. Yeah.
legacy group that you can vote in to get the other two. So yeah, I don't know. Like we've said with baseball, it's can you tell the history of the NFL without? And Belichick's going to get in. Robert Kraft's going to get in. Don't get me wrong. We know that. But can you tell the history of the NFL without Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft? And the answer is no. And if the history of the NFL, if they're not the first ones that, if you're not skipping Bill Belichick. Like if somebody said, hey, 60 years of the NFL Super Bowl, who has the most? Bill Belichick. Okay. How far ahead of them is he from the second place guy? Well, he's got 3 more than anybody else. Okay, or 4 more. Okay, well, so he's the first person that you talk about when you talk about the winningest coaches of all time in the NFL. Similar to Barry Bonds. Can you tell the history of baseball without Barry Bonds? Absolutely not. So the fact that first ballot snub just to make him look bad is beyond ridiculous. So, like I said, if you can't do it objectively, and just look at the resume, then you shouldn't be voting for the Hall of Fame.
And if I was Belichick, I think it might go through my mind that if I get in next year, that I tell him to pound sand. I'm not coming to your ceremony. I mean, I would at least think about it. But then on the other hand, you go and you get up there and you do your speech and you poke at the voters. And, Roger Craig got in over Bill Belichick. That's how that panned out. And Roger Craig was a great player.
I think you can tell the history of the NFL without mentioning Roger Craig.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first player ever to have 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. I think only 2 or 3 others have ever done that. But again, he was a great player. I'm surprised he wasn't already in. But if I have those two and I have to weigh their resumes, it's got to be Belichick.
Yeah, it's certainly insane. Hey, fellas, I got to jump off here.
Super Bowl prediction.
Super Bowl prediction. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I'm going to take the underdog. I like their defensive line to put some pressure on Sam Darnold. I think Drake May can make enough plays with his legs. And Mike Vrabel's got something good going on there. So I'm rooting for the Seahawks, but I do think the Patriots get the win. How about you guys?
I think I want the Patriots to win because I want Vrabel to win and be the first coach to ever win a Super Bowl as a player and the coach of the same team. So, and they've got 3 Buckeyes on that team, so that's it. But I think ultimately the Seahawks win, and Jackson Smith-Njigba is the MVP of the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Yeah, Ryan?
I like that.
I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. You can talk about the Patriots, schedule all you want, but they obviously got there. So, but I think ultimately, and I would love to see it play out this way. I don't think it will. I would love for it to be on the 1-yard line again with 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
And this time, the Patriots have the football, and for some reason, they don't get in. But ultimately, I do think the Seahawks win. I think they cover. I think they win by. I think they win by 5 or 6. It's going to be a 30-24 or 28-22, or it's going to be closer than people think. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win and to cover.
All right, Josh. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, tune in to Bad Bunny at halftime. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. See you.
See you. Yeah.
See you.
So, for me, I think about the Seahawks defense. I mean, they are incredible. Mm-hmm. But New England in the playoffs, they've faced the number 10 defense, the number 5 defense, and the number 2 defense, and they've managed to win. I think potentially it could be a low-scoring game. Both teams have strong defenses. I want to see what Sam Darnold does when he's under pressure, when the Patriots are and during the playoffs, they've increased. They're over 50% of the snaps that their defense blitzes. So if that happens, is Sam Darnold going to be able to hold it down and be steady like he's been in their first two playoff games? I don't know. I can't believe that I want the Patriots to win. That just goes against everything I believe in to pick them as the Super Bowl champion. But I think when it comes down to it, Seattle is going to win it. But Sam Darnold's going to be a key point, just like Drake May will be. The quarterbacks are always, kind of the big first thing that you look at. So I just want it to be a good game. I don't want to blow out because that's just no fun. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I want to see a close game, low scoring, high scoring, whatever. I want Vrabel to win, but I think the Seahawks are more talented. So, I don't know, Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, Seattle's the better team overall, and I think everybody can agree with that. They have the better receiving core, the better back. The only thing that's going to be interesting is the quarterback play. Can Sam Darnold, the guy who got mono for the New York Jets, can he step up? He did last week. He played phenomenal, or 2 weeks ago, played phenomenal in the NFC Championship game. Just can he do it again? And it's in a stadium that he knows very well. It'll be interesting to see. I don't see a world, and I'm trying every outcome in my head. I don't see a world where the Patriots can win. It would be cool to see Drake May in the second year, Vrabel's first. It'd be cool, but at the same time, I don't want the Patriots to get another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For all of my lifetime, it's been the Patriots. And then there's the Chiefs. It'd be cool to see, Seattle, in their first Super Bowl, they won by 35 against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And in their second year, they just ran the ball. But I think Seattle wins. I think they cover. But it'll be a good game. It'll be a very good game. I think it's going to be a lively crowd. I think, I don't listen to much Bad Bunny, but I think it'll be a good Super Bowl halftime performance. I think, especially in San Francisco. But yeah, I think it'll be a great game. It's going to be Super Bowl Sunday. It's always a great day no matter what. I mean, last year, gosh, I was hoping for such a good game with the rematch and, Mahomes and the Eagles and everything, but, just didn't. It was weird. Last year, I think people were more tuned in to see what Kendrick Lamar was going to do at halftime more than the actual game. But this year, the vibes are different. The vibes are different. It's Super Bowl 60. And, it'll be interesting to see. I do think Seahawks ultimately win. And I'll make a bold prediction. Each quarterback is going to throw for over 300 yards.
Wow.
They're each going to have 3 touchdowns. And I think defense is going to go completely out the window until the last couple of minutes. Whoever has the ball last is not going to win. Whoever scores with 7 minutes left and is able to put their defense on the field last is going to have the better chance to win. But moving on to that, we officially know what the WrestleMania main event of night 2 is going to be. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not want Roman Reigns to win that Rumble.
Me either.
But I'm not mad about it now. I'm really not. That promo they had on Monday night was great.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. It's going to be interesting to see, how they go about night 1. It's obviously going to be the WWE Championship. It just depends on who's going to be in the match.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Drew McIntyre holding the championship? Is it going to be Cody Rhodes holding the championship? Who knows? We'll find out at the Elimination Chamber. Next week, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Sami Zayn are all in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match. I don't see a world where anybody other than Sami Zayn wins that match.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I love Drew as champion. He should have had his moment a long time ago. It sucks that COVID happened. But I don't see a world where Drew McIntyre walks out of Chicago with that WWE Championship. I think Cody Rhodes gets it back. And look, this is all fantasy booking. Please don't take this to heart. Give me Cody Rhodes and give me Randy Orton, the winner of the Elimination Chamber. Give me Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Give me a heel. Honestly, give me a heel Cody Rhodes. That'd be great. But I think they'll go heel Randy Orton. But I think this year's WrestleMania hopefully is going to be 2 times better, 2 times bigger than last year's, because last year's, outside of a little bit of night 1 and a little bit of night 2, was great. I'm hoping and praying we get a good WrestleMania.
Yeah. And the women's Royal Rumble was impressive. Mm-hmm. It was incredible. And I predicted that Liv Morgan was going to win that one. I felt pretty confident about that. My choice of Braun Breaker and men's didn't go so well. But yeah, I don't know. They've got to start pushing some of these younger guys and girls that they're bringing up from NXT. And I predict Obafemi and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which would be an incredible match. But yeah, I don't know. I just, Reigns and Punk, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want Cody to win Elimination Chamber. I like Cody, and I don't think they'll turn him heel because he's kind of taken over that John Cena role in dealing with the public and all those types of things away from the ring. Mm-hmm. So I don't see them turning him heel. And Randy Orton is a better heel than he is babyface, so it's okay if he is. One thing before we go, I don't know if you saw this, Ryan, but Bad Bunny at a press conference in Santa Clara made the comment, very controversial, that he did not want any white people to watch his halftime show. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Bunny. I am going to be watching it. I'm going to be very careful with what I say.
Yeah.
But I understand what he means, very much so. There's certain regulations that hold me accountable here. I won't get too far into it because we're not going to make this show into that way. If you want to watch the other halftime show that is going to be on television, you feel free to that. I'm sure it'll be nice. There's good singers. But, hey, we won't make that show. We won't make our show into that because we're not going to do that.
No,
by any means. Bad Bunny is the halftime performer. I'm going to watch it. He's got good music. He really does. Yeah. I'd love to see him back in the ring here sometime soon. That'd be nice. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how they go about the coming years in Super Bowl halftime performances, because it honestly seems like they're trying to get the biggest star from like 2 or 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
It seems like what's going to happen next year, I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be more like a Sabrina Carpenter or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be an amazing halftime performance. He's got good songs. He's a good performer. He gets the crowd, no matter what kind of crowd it is. He pulls them in regardless. And for anybody who has never heard a Bad Bunny song, what I want you to do right now is, well, not right now, but as soon as we're done, go onto YouTube, look at his entrance at Backlash 2023. He came out to a song called Chambea. I hope he comes out to that at the start, because that was phenomenal. But I think this year's is going to be a whole lot better than last year's.
Yeah, I think so. Well, 2 hours went really quick. It's time for us to go. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gilliland Howe Funeral Home, Acre Automotive Group, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton and Tebby Law Office, and Buy Right Auto. Thanks to Ryan and thanks to Josh for this week. Tune in next week for more fun and excitement and sports discussion here on Beyond the Game on Tree Country 1330 WTRE.